Paul. Yeah, I was looking in this dictionary and they have what's known as credit. An amount at a person's disposal in a bank. Yeah. One's ability to borrow or to buy in advance of payment, recognition by name for contribution. You know what would be really interesting to know is if I could go through every lawsuit and liability, every oath of office elected and appointed to office for the last 40 years, all of those in the Senate and those in the House of Representatives and every state legislature and every sheriff, every police officer, all the mandatory reporters, and those that work in Homeland Security, those 138,000 individuals that have badges on that are employed for the enforcement and the security of the nation, and every person in the post office. I'd just like to get the credit score of all of those that I'm going to sue that have sworn that they would support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I'd like to know how much they have in available credit. Let's say you're one of these that are pretty well to do. You could go down to the bank and just with a signature you could get yourself a couple $100,000 on loan. You're a sheriff or a police officer, a mayor, or one of these city council persons. All of them having sworn they will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And to their credit, they really did mean what they said at the time they signed that oath of office. Pooch. But it just so happens that they've been watching these famous videos or reading these emails from my drives that I put on the Facebook, and their creditors look at them like, well, is there any reality to the fact that you are legally liable for the enforcement of the laws of the United States? Now, you can appreciate that if the bank that they bank at actually started to believe that their famous movies of the Oprah shows or the famous Fish Family shows or the famous clone shows where they were so awesome, and they find out, well, Sheriff, you don't have any credit anymore because we think you're going to get sued. Now, at some point, those in business, those that are bankers, those that actually do the lending for, well, the top secret family, they begin looking at the credit risk of their actual clients. Let's say you're a senator elected to the United States Congress, and you know that my constitutional rights are being violated, and I know I'm going to sue you, and I'm going to take everything you own. Now, at one point, your banker's going to realize, excuse me, Senator, but I'm sorry, we cannot extend any additional credit to you until these legal issues are resolved. Now, I know I'm not telling banks what's going to happen. I mean, if I had the bank accounts, and I think I did get the bank accounts of every lawsuit and all the mandatory reporters and every liability for all the missing and abused children laws and all the laws as they pertain to the enforcement of civil rights and constitutional rights. It's going to be a funny day when the bankers finally figure out that this is all reality. Isn't that right, superheroes? You actually are violating my rights. And you wouldn't send me an email that would have allowed me to contact my sons, and you wouldn't remove a protection order where there's no signature of the petitioner, where the law requires that I be given actual notice and opportunity. And all of a sudden, your banker, that bank that you banked at for 20, 30, 40 years, begins to realize, we lend this person money. And we actually do know what they do for a living. They're one of these oaths of office. and they personally liable for the enforcement of the laws of the United States, instead of actually just doing what the law requires, a removing of the protection order and the dissolution of marriage. They decided they were going to make themselves famous. They're going to be Now, if I was a banker and I had the line of credit to a senator or representative or those that are governors or Supreme Court justices, I'd really have one of these sit-down talks with them about, well, did you watch Paul's video? Did you see that about his rights being violated and you appointed to office as a Supreme Court justice? Do you have any knowledge about this man? Because as a banker, I'd be cutting off the credit of every oath of office in this nation.